it's tapped, then it's fact. If it's cap, it's a rap. Over and over and over and over. Broken records scratching, they lacking, they capping again. They steady smacking their lips and rolling their necks.
How y'all doing, man? It's your boy, The Comment. We're tapping up, capping with. If you nerdy, you seen it, then what's your opinion? And I'm with right here.
Adassa. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Adassa.
How you doing? I'm also with, the two locals. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so we're these two locas. I'm Mika.
I'm Jay Gill, and we are so excited to meet you, Adassa. Like, we have so many questions.
Yes.
Just first of all, shout out to you, girl, okay? And your success. Like, your story's absolutely bananas. How you got your opportunity with Encanto, the music you've done before, being a mom. Like, what is the playbook? Please. Can we get this?
I'm writing a book right now. Actually, it's crazy. I've never thought in my life I would have, but you know what? I really think that God has everything to do with it. I have an incredible support system. My husband's amazing, and my community is incredible. Even though my family, like my mom, my dad, they're not nearby, I have an incredible community. And then I don't drink, I don't smoke. I try to get at least 4 hours of sleep. I say try.
Oh, I love it. That's
4 hours. That's 4 solid hours for real?
Four solid hours. Try it.
My bad.
I was waiting back there.
Yeah, I just saw you, bro. I was multitasking. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Family,
you
introduce
good.
yourself.
Yes, how y'all doing? I'm Hollywood Sensei of the Blurred Cartel, also host of the What It Sound Like podcast. So music podcast where we discuss all forms of music. You can catch us every Monday at 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
And plus, and yes, welcome to Adassa. I'm glad to have you here on the platform.
So we gonna go straight into it, y'all, because I don't know how much time Adassa giving us. I didn't ask, so we're gonna jump. We didn't go jump straight into it. So tell us about your story, your background. Tell me where it all started. We know that you're Colombian, right?
I am. Soy colombiana. Mi mamá es de Barranquilla, mi papá de Cartagena. So they're from the coast of Colombia. I was born in Florida and actually Fort Lauderdale, which I was able to do a concert there in my city again. It was pretty nice to close the circle. And I started singing with my parents when I was in church. So I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and my mom and my dad were holistic doctors, and we would just, take it everywhere we went. We just sang everywhere we could. And that's where I got bitten by the music bug when I was 5-6 years old. And then right around when I was 9 is when I was I fell in love with The Little Mermaid, and I wanted to be part of that world. I just knew it. And then from that moment on, I was like, I'm going to be an extra. I never had ever those dreams of oh, I'm gonna be a big star. Nada de eso. I was tangible goals, people. I know I could make this happen.
Now, I wanted to know, I read somewhere that you were raised in St. Croix. Is that correct?
So entre Santa Cruz, Las Islas Vírgenes, so St. Croix, when my parents had an office there. So all of my reggaeton roots came from listening to music right there next to Puerto Rico. And then at the same time, being a Southern girl, I still grew up with the music, Dolly Parton, and you grew up with that kind of stuff. But then you had the Enrique Iglesias, en la salsa, el merengue, reggaeton. So my music became a little bit of everything. So for me, I had such a great honor of being the second dark-skinned woman to be signed to a major record deal ever in the history. Back in 2004 with Universal Latino, they took a chance on me, and I was like, I want to do it all. I want to do it English and Spanish, and I want to do reggaeton, and I want to do bachata. And they were like, dale, so they were really supportive. I'm forever grateful for my family at Universal Latino.
I love that. I feel like, especially in our community, that is such a big deal that people don't understand. Like, not all of us have to look like J Lo. You know, shout out to her. Yeah, we come in all shades. So, do you feel like at any point did anyone in your career ever try to whitewash you? Essentially, like you have to change your hair, maybe wear lighter, makeup. Has that ever happened to you?
I think even though it wasn't asked, I feel like sometimes you feel like the pressure of society is that way. Because even back in the beginnings of my career, I was like, I went to the golden hair, and I didn't really embrace like my curls like I do now as much, because I'm like, when you see the people out there, that's not what people are. And so you're like, well, maybe I should be more like them instead of carving your own path. And I think that in the beginning of my career, I just wanted to be in that world so much that I tried to assimilate to what I saw was popular. And little by little, you're like, whatever, man. I'm just gonna be me. If they reject me, if they love me, I'd rather them love me for who I am than love me for who I'm not, because that's a lot harder to fake it. You know what I'm saying? At one point, you're just like, oh, you know what? Ya, me cansé. Like, I'm done. I'm not even gonna pose anymore. So I think at one point in my career, I was just like, I want to say what I want to say, and if people follow me, great, and if they don't, they don't. And I was liberated. And so I think that Encanto did that for me. Like when I saw the design of my character, like down to my ears, because like my ears are like pretty.
I was saying that when I met you, but I didn't know how to say it.
They're built to scale. They are built to scale, people.
And I had asked her when I met her in Florida. I was like, did they make the character off of you? She was like, nah. I was like, oh, hey. But it do like, she did tell me that when you was in the booth and doing the voice acting, that they mimic your facial expressions. I was like, that makes sense, because just like right now, how her eyes going like that, she does that all the time in the movies. So I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, we had to record with like multiple camera angles in the booth. And so when I was in the booth, you do things you don't even notice you're doing them. And then afterwards, like I saw the character and I'm like, it's insane how much they took of it. And I feel like they did incorporate some of my physical appearances into the character, because when I saw the book of Encanto, where the character began as to what it ended up being after I was cast, I was like, oh, there's some similarities that I see. And yes, a lot of the quirks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all out there now.
Does it feel magical to kind of be a Disney, like the first Afro-Latina Disney character?
Real quick, before you tap into that, let me, because I want to get into the slide, which is, what is even being an Afro-Latina? I want y'all to deep dive into that.
Well, I could say what it is for me. My family's blood roots come from Africanos, but they're Africanos from Colombia. So like they're Africans from Colombia that were there. And so my roots from my grandmother's side are Afro. So like if you see my daughter, like you'll see my family picture like on Instagram when I post, one of them has this fro is up to here and the other one is straight hair, like down to her butt. And it was like, they're both my kids from the same husband. And they are, one of them's got freckles and the other one doesn't. And one has green eyes and the other one has hazel eyes and the other one's got brown eyes, all from the same daddy mommy. So like when it comes to what's inside of our DNA, it comes out in our children. So like if I have more of a afro fro hair, like, my hair may not be like the super tight curl, but it is. So, I think that is that. For me, is la gente indígena, especially because I have like a more of like indigenous traits to me. Like my nose is more indigenous, so it's a little less Afro, more going to the indigenous tribes of Colombia. And that all comes out into it. And I feel like when you look at Mauro Castillo, he's darker. But then you look at Stephanie Beatriz and she's lighter. But like Stephanie Beatriz looks a lot like my tia, like a lot. Like, so I'm like, all of us, we look like family because technically we have that in our bloodline. But yes, Afro-Latinos for a long time, we're seeing more of the secondary or third characters, people of the help, people of, just never principal characters. And I feel that that's what Encanto did, really brought us to the forefront. And I think that's why it's so powerful, that scene when we're all sitting down at the table together. I cried because I was like, wow, we're no longer setting the table, we're at the table. Like, this is powerful for me. Because that wasn't the way it was for my grandmother growing up. She had to struggle, and it was hard for her, and she never thought that we would live this day. I wish she would have been alive to see this day even come to be. I feel like she would have just like been so overwhelmed with joy.
And to that point too, my son is 4, and in the pandemic, we watch Encanto. His 2-year-old pandemic birthday party was Encanto themed. Okay, I was you. She had to be Dolores. I was Dolores. Okay. So
I love it.
Beautiful, colorful skirt, and I was like, I would be yellow, and I wrap my hair. And he did not look at me once. Okay. No. But one of the things that really touched me watching this movie with him, so I'm Afro-Peruana, my family's close, and watching this movie with him, I wanted him to understand, like, you don't know how good you have it, right?
My gosh.
Oh my god, like the little boy, and that looks like him, curly hair, brown skin, and I got emotional and cried because he gets to have something that I didn't growing up, and that representation, seeing yourself. Little Mermaid was also one of my favorites, but I don't look like no Little Mermaid,
Well, now you do. Now
Right.
And just what I want him to take away from that movie and learning where he comes from is that when you look in the mirror, you see our ancestors. Like, there's some things that like we get to be so proud about now, but back then, I was ashamed of my hair not being, my nose, my lips, my face. It was very indigenous.
exactly.
Yeah, and so these were things that we would get teased for, or you would feel self-conscious for, and to live in a time with him, through him, where he gets to enjoy being proud about this. It's such a beautiful thing, and to know, like, we get to be a part of that. And through you, like, too, watching you and understanding, like, your background and you being a part of it, it's just, it connects us all.
I think exactly like you do, because it didn't just show one shape or one feature of our culture, of who we are, but many different sides of it. My own daughter was cast in the film, and she was 8 years old at the time. And she got to work with the producers and everything. That was like my dream. You understand? Like, when I was a little girl, it took me 25 years to get to this. And she was 8. And I was like, I was shaking. Like, she wouldn't understand. I was like beside myself. And she was so relaxed. Oh my goodness, is that your cat? Oh, how cute. It's so nice. I like your earrings. And I'm like, I was freaking out for her. And I'm like, I'm so glad she's chill about it. And she did such a great job. She's one of the town kids. And
the one with next to the guy who was freaking out with the coffee and all that.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, her and our lines kind of crossed when she goes, she was about to tell us about her super awesome gift. And then I go, oh, that's a good one. It's so fun to have that. But to know that she will never know that struggle of having to just burst your way through things, breaking down barriers, making cement floor where there's only grass, and like have to tear through the gravel to get to that point. And I'm grateful that she won't have to, but she's going to have her own issues that she's going to have to deal with, because now with technology, the competition is fierce. Like, it's fierce. So I don't know, man, there's difficulties back when we were growing up, and there's difficulties now. Like, it's just different.
Yeah.
You see evolve at this point. Do you feel the exposure with Encanto and social media has taken you a little bit different in your career than you would have thought maybe like 5 or 10 years ago?
Oh, absolutely, because I was already retired.
Yes. I was like, how is she retired? And then she comes back and does Encanto. Like, that's the best.
They brought me out of retirement. Honestly, I was done. I would only do a release of a music video here and there just to lose the baby weight between my kids. Because I gave birth to 6 out of my 7 kids, because I'm the baby. I'm la Latina mama from our first son. But all the other 6, and I didn't get no doubles. Like, it was all singles. And I would always give an excuse. I'm like, all right, we're gonna shoot a video. I gotta lose the baby weight. I gotta go in there. Woo, And the last one we did was Porque No Yo, a single that we released, and it didn't have like millions of views or anything, but one of those views was from Jamie Sparrow Roberts and her team, which were the ones that reached out through my YouTube channel and asked me if I would like to audition for an undisclosed role, which turned out to be Dolores from Encanto. So right now it is an era in which if you take power over the circuitry around you, all of the different amazing possibilities that are free for you, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, anything that you can imagine, you put your hands in there and you have great content for people to be drawn to. You have the possibilities to have your future and your economy in your hands. Just bring it, bring it. Study your competition and then blow them out the water, and you'll be good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hollywood. You have
Also,
a question?
I wanted to ask, if we were talking about Encanto right now. So my question for you is, how did you prepare for your role as Dolores, and what does the character of Dolores mean to you?
Ooh, all right. Preparation for it wasn't easily lived, but I didn't know I was preparing for it. When I auditioned for the part, I auditioned with one of the pieces from Alexander Hamilton, obviously from that Hamilton. It's just amazing that I got to work with Lin-Manuel Miranda, which was so. This is what it feels like to match wits with someone at your level. What the hell is a catch? It's the feeling of freedom of seeing the light that's been fractured with a key and a kite. You see it, right? That was the piece that I auditioned with. And and then I just left it all on the table, and I was so excited. But the next day I was like, oh, I'm feeling a little wheezy. I thought I was maybe pregnant. I went to the hospital, and my family and I had COVID a few months back before then. And then I went in, I got there, and then within minutes, I wasn't able to talk. I wasn't able to move, and I got paralyzed from the neck down. My life changed. And this was the day after I had gone with the producers and done the audition of like my life, where I told them about my family. I showed them pictures. I was just like over the moon, because this was like what I had hoped for my whole life, to just be in front of them, be considered. That's it. And so I went to the hospital, and I called my husband with what I could muster. He came to pick me up, and then I thought I was going to die. Literally thought I was going to die, because when I would get paralyzed, I could barely even breathe. And then I thought, wow, all of these wonderful things, me getting closer to God, me being hands-on mom. I was homeschooling the babies. I just had a 2-year-old right now in my house. And I was like, I can't believe this is the end of my life. And so I had to start figuring out what would make the paralysis happen. So I noticed I couldn't really speak. So I had to whisper everything. Everything had to be whispered. And I couldn't move my hands, and I couldn't move my legs. I just had to be so still, like, oh yeah, mamita, can you please help me with the food? Can you just really whispering. And so miraculously, I started getting better. And during the time that I was little by little being able to walk and talk again, I get a call, and it was Jamie Sparrow Roberts herself, the casting director of so many great films like Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, Moana, you name it, she cast it. And she called us to congratulate us. And my husband was like, you can't take this. And I was like, you call him if I'm dead. And then he was like, well, let's get to it. So my training was built on the hardest thing that I had to survive, because once I was with the directors, and weeks later when I was finally better and ready to go, they were like, so we're thinking Dolores is a soft-spoken character, like very quiet, but she can maybe
work perfectly.
And I was like, I can do that. I've been living there for like a couple months. So I was able to prepare in a real life scenario for that role. And then just being there with the producers and with Lynn, it was just an incredible experience. I really will always cherish those moments.
Can we give her a hand of applause? You know what I'm saying? Just for making it through that. That's a beautiful testimony.
But faith in God, okay?
Oh, God is good.
So speaking about the you getting the show, right? Getting the movie. Talk about the cast, man. Talk about all the amazing people that you met along the way, working with some amazing voice actors and movie actors, and just, you talked about, working with the guy for Hamilton, but just tell us about like who you met and the close relationships. What was that like? We've already been doing music, and you met all types of different celebs. I don't know if you can even get starstruck at this point, but what was that like?
I absolutely can get starstruck. I did with Wilmer Valderrama, because Wilmer is one of the people my husband and I love to watch from that 70s show and NCIS. But like that 70s show was like, we loved it. And so him doing that fez. And to us as Latinos, to see him in that kind of a role and just like take it and just make it his. So one day we were practicing and we were like hanging out after practice and we're like, yo, Wilmer, can you do the fez? He was like, dude, he did it. Like he just turned and he just did the lines. And I was just like, oh, because he transformed like his face and his attitude and every, just like a blink of an eye. And I was just like, that's it. You sure you want to give me your number? I was like, I don't know. No, he was just so wonderful. And then Stephanie Beatriz, I think she's such a dynamic actor. She has such range. It was so amazing watching her and how loose she is in her performance. Diane Guerrero and I got to hang out. Especially during the Hollywood Bowl when we were doing our practices. One night we went back to the hotel and I think we stayed up until like 3 a.m, just having fun. My husband and her boyfriend, and we were just sitting at the bar and the people at the bar were like, are you going? Like, it's closed. So I think every single person, Ravi, oh my goodness, he right now is just, he's blowing up so big and I'm so grateful. His mom is amazing. She's an acting coach and he is such a talented kid. During the Grammys, during the Oscars, I was just like, I got him. I was like, under my wing, you come here with me. I protect you. Let's do this. We're gonna do all the press rounds together. You're not going to be left behind. I mean, he was just like, for real, I took him like my little brother. He's
That's
such
awesome.
a boy.
Speaking of, I'm not, you said Robbie, but I think, are you, oh, excuse me, wrong one. This one right here. Is it
Camilo? That's Camilo. Okay.
Yeah, Camilo Renzi. Yeah.
Renzi
He's been blowing up as well, you know, doing the penguin and all that stuff. I don't know if you watched it, but
oh man.
Yeah, I seen all your fans like do a lot of fan art, you know, with you two together. I saw y'all perform together at American Idol.
Yes.
So yeah, that was really dope. What are you guys' relationship like?
Oh my goodness, he's just so cool. I think he overthinks doing things sometimes because he's such a perfectionist, but it shows in his work. At first he was like, I don't know about this American Idol thing about singing. Like, who wouldn't want to hear him sing? He's such a great performer. And like, that was the only time, like he didn't join us for the Hollywood Bowl. I wish he could have. I think there were some, you know, just things with scheduling for him, but he is such a great guy. Like, hones in on his craft, really works on his talent, and then he's down to earth, which is wonderful to see. It's a great, you know, breath of fresh air. And hopefully, if as long as he doesn't take this whole thing too seriously, he's just got places to go without pulling out his hair in the meantime. You know?
Did anybody else want to chime in real quick before I say something?
I'll
let him go. I'll let y'all go next.
Now, I know we don't talk about Bruno. I know that, but the song. My question is the song we don't talk about Bruno. It became a global hit. So, how did you feel to be a part of that phenomenon when it took off and everything?
You know, it was the fans. I would have to say. I think that each person out there that was cosplaying the characters, it really blew up on TikTok. It just went viral. My own kids were the ones that were like, Mom, you guys are blowing up on TikTok. I didn't even have a TikTok. I was like, okay, esta cosa de TikTok, a ver, ayúdame ahí con eso. And I literally went live and I was like, hey, if anybody wants to follow me, I had like 1 follower. And like by the end of the day, my daughter's like, oh my gosh, Mom, we got 10,000 followers. By the next day, it was 200,000. And then by the next day, it was like 400,000. I was like, what the heck is going on? So I was doing these lives and just like inviting people to come on and whatever. And then that's when Disney called and they were like, hey, would you do promo? And I was like, heck yeah, let's do it. As many things as you want us to do. And then the song started climbing the charts. And we were just like in awe of what happened. I mean, usually you don't get invited to go and perform at the Oscars unless you have a nominated song. But the song was so big. They were like, we want to include it in one of the songs that we're going to do. And so we were able to perform at the Oscars. So that was just insane. And my part in it was so amazing. I think that Lin really just took off with that. When he wrote it initially, it was just always like Lin-Manuel on Lin-Manuel on Lin-Manuel. Like he did all the parts. And so when I heard it after working with the directors, I was like, I really feel like she would not sing it like, good to live in fear, Bruno stuttering and stumbling. And so I took it an octave. Brutal live in fear, Bruno stuttering and stumbling. I can always hear him sort of muttering and mumbling. I associate him with the sound of falling sand. I took it down that octave, and then he was like, yeah, it sounds good. Let's do it.
I'm
That's
such
awesome.
a fan of Lin and Hamilton. That was another like pandemic favorite. My
Yes.
question is because I always imagine when he works with an artist in the studio, like you have to have some kind of breath control. Like I know I took musical theater, but I remember like hearing your voice and hearing how many syllables you have to say in a verse. How was that experience? And did you find that hard to keep, like you have all these words and there are a lot of big words in there, but he makes it work. And I'm like, I wouldn't even know how to rhyme some of the words he rhymes together. But how was that? Did you find that difficult?
Well, because of the fact of coming from the rapping background that I always did, I feel like when I was challenged with that Alexander Hamilton piece, and then I did a couple others, and then I was like, oh, I see where he's probably going to be bringing some speed in there. I'm always comfortable with speed. To me, it was mainly just being in the moment and not having my nerves take over, because you get so excited and I'm like, I need to maintain. So I even closed my eyes. Well, like you'll see it online. Like I closed my eyes. I was just in the moment. I was like, I don't want to look at him and be like, ew, what is she doing? I didn't want to see it. I was like, I'm just going to close my eyes and move forward. Luckily, I wasn't fired.
One where you went,
yeah. I gotta take a big one at the beginning. That's like Bruno live in fear, Bruno stuttering and stumbling. And then just hold it as you go all the way through.
I've seen you perform it many times, and it doesn't. You do it seamlessly. I saw the performance as well for Encanto. That performance was so good. It was beautiful. It was amazing. I was like, I should have been there. Like the whole crowd, like the lights, the stage, how they had it. I thought it was amazing. I'm trying to find this this question that somebody wrote in the chat. Somebody wanted to ask you, could you do the voice? Yeah. Can you do the voice? Now I'm asking, the reason why I brought this up was, are you doing your own voice when it comes to Dolores? Is this like, this is your voice, you're not putting on anything? You're just taking it down a level?
I think that is the thing about an actor. You have different ranges, like in your own voice, because you're an instrument. If I wanted to talk up here, I could talk up here. If I really felt like it, I could just talk like that. And that's part of my voice too. If I really wanted to talk down here, I could talk down here. Part of my voice as well. But for me, it's mainly, what am I trying to convey? So I could have said, the only one worried about the magic is you and the rats talking in the walls. Oh, and Luisa, I heard her eye twitching all night. But in this case, they wanted something intimate. So the difference is, the only one worried about the magic is you and the rats talking in the walls. Oh, and Luisa, I heard her eye twitching all night. See, the difference is, you want to be intimate, like you're telling somebody a secret. So the biggest problem I think that people sometimes have regarding acting is, what are you trying to convey? So it's like, in what moment am I telling somebody a secret, or am I telling somebody loudly, hello? You know what I mean? So it depends on what state you're in. So all of it is my voice. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. It's all mine. It's just who I want to show you in that moment. That's all it is. And it's fun to play with your instrument. Like, don't be afraid to find out what kind of noises you can make depending on what you put your voice. You know what I'm saying?
Like a woman with a cigarette in her hand.
That's what it does sound like.
Yo, tú sabes, es que viene acá el tren y pasa por ahí por la casa, tú sabes.
Like one of those like Tio's in the hair salon or something like that.
Or if you want to be a little bit whiny, you know what I'm saying? You could be right up here. You could be whiny. Igualito, tú sabes. Tú lo pones ahí.
It sounds like all the voices in my head. It's like I know, I feel like home listening to it.
Right? You can hear your mommy. ¿Dónde tú pusiste tu cartera? Yo no sé. ¿Dónde están los chavos? you know.
Your mommy.
You see yourself Did you answer this question? It just came up by Lala. Shout
You
out to
see
Lala.
yourself continuing voice acting since you technically retired. Yeah, I'm out of retirement. That went out the window real quick.
Hey,
I lasted about 2 minutes.
that's good. That's
I
good.
absolutely see myself doing more acting roles. I'm more selective though, because I don't select things that don't align with my values and my principles. What I'm doing now is I'm leaving, for me, is a legacy of who I am in whatever I do for my children. So they see a little piece of what represents me. And so if I'm leaving behind a body of work, I'm a lot more careful than when I was a kid and I was like, nothing matters. I want it all. You know what I mean? A lot more careful because I want my kids to see, hey, I had a career and I lived all my dreams and I didn't give up on being a mom. That didn't stop me from being a wife. You know, it didn't stop me from having a home. It didn't stop me from having vacations, and it didn't, but it does change your priorities. So for me, it's if I find a role that really excites me, that I think it's going to push my limits in regards to my creativity, or I think I'm going to have a great time doing this, or this is going to be fun for my kids to watch later, I'm totally for it. But anything that doesn't align with my principles, then I'm like, then I'm not your girl. And it's okay to say no.
Was there a moment that got you to that authentic self where you were just like, win or fail, I mean, it is what it is?
Oh, yeah. It's every day. I think it's every day. And I'm much more okay with it. Like, gosh, it's so hard to fake it. It's so hard because at one point, a lot of what comes, I feel like a lot of depression that happens within the artist world really happens because you just get sick of playing a certain character. And that yet you're upheld by that character to always be that. So like if you come across as a really excited person all the time, then that's how they want to see you all the time. You should be excited. And if you're ever like calm, they're like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Like, no. And so I think that elevated state may have been you back in the 90s. That doesn't have to be you now. And it's okay to transition and to have your audience come with you in that, different wave of who you are, because it'll make you a lot happier to just embrace who you are as you are moving through life. And this is who I am now. And I have a great time being who I am. So I think that the more authentic you are, the more people will know that's authenticity. And you'll find your crowd. You won't have a whole bunch of followers that don't relate to you. You'll have the right amount of followers. And those people will always love you. They will always just show that appreciation for your talent.
Amen. Speaking of, I wanted to capitalize off of that. Before you came on, me and Hollywood was talking, and I was like, I don't know how she gonna show up. I don't know if she gonna wear what you wearing right now, because I've seen you wear like this same type of aesthetic, or the way I meet you when you're at conventions where you're wearing the whole Dolores outfit. Now, speaking on what you just said, how does that feel? Like when you are dressing up to be the part, do you feel like you're like, I just want to be me, or do you feel like is being Dolores like at conventions dressing up, is that ever like a burden? Because it's like I'm putting on more of a costume than I am being myself. Like, can you just tell me what that's like?
I think it's an honor. To me, it's a complete honor. It's like if you're a police officer and you get to wear that badge, you understand there's an honor that is with it. So when I wear the costume, for me, it's an honor because I used to be the kid sitting during the parades, looking and hoping, wishing that one of those princesses would just look at me, look at me, And so just away from them, that was it. Like I would just be on cloud nine. And so for me, when I go to Comic-Cons or conventions or I do special events, if I get to wear the costume, it's like I get to give a child or a person that same feeling. Like I want to bring Disney to you. I want you to feel love and I want you to feel seen and I want to sing the song with you. So to me, it's an honor. So I don't do it every single day, but I do at least do it one day out of the convention so they can feel that and have a picture with the character they fell in love with. And as my career continues to grow, I'm sure there'll be other characters that I'll be able to also dress as. And I want to give homage to those characters because they have my life joy and they've given my career longevity. At the same time, I've gotten to fulfill my 9-year-old dreams. So how not? I'm so excited. I'm happy and honored every time.
Do you see there are more doors opening now for Afro-Latinos in movies? That we can be we're a multifaceted community, but do you see like there's more opportunities? Because the last big role that I did was Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
And I was always prisoner number 1, 3, 4, 5. And like listening to your story about being selective about what you choose now and next, being a mom has changed me. So I feel that mindset, and I'm inspired by you hearing that. But back then, it wasn't really many options. It was like gangster's girlfriend or prisoner or hooker or hooker maid. You know, so do you feel like now, are you starting to see the change and shift in the industry?
I think there has been a shift in the industry, but the main call that I am making is for creators to start creating their original stories and give themselves the principal roles that they see themselves as, and then they feel that their community deserves. Because sometimes with stories, an authentic Afro-Latino can tell a story differently than somebody who did not live or has in their blood have gone through certain situations. So you can't portray a story you've never lived or imagine it. Mm-hmm. So like if I were to tell the story of my grandmother lived a very hard life. And so if I were to tell it in a story, I would tell it with all that grit. And then I would want somebody to play my grandmother, my mother, you know, that would be authentic to the story and authentic to who they were. So I feel like now is the time more than ever that yes, Afro-Latinos can get cast in things. And yes, there's sometimes a bit of that typecasting because obviously like, you ain't gonna lie. Like if they ask you, so don't you have a family member that has been a drug dealer? You'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Not true. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I want to be a scientist.
Well, my cousin, and anybody who's been to prison, well, my uncle, you know what I mean? It's just like, I hate the fact that it's all true.
The stereotype, yeah.
It's very stereotyped because it's real. But
yeah. It's based on something.
It's based on the reality. Like most of the facts, you know what I'm saying? Has anybody been deported? So the reality is I feel that now is the time in which people can take a camera, take a good story and produce the stories that really are an identifier of who they are and their roots, and people will listen because they're like, I'm hungry to hear my truth. I'm hungry for those stories that tell the truth.
Real quick, speaking about the family, right? These are some of the characters in Encanto.
Yeah.
What are like, do any of these characters resemble people in your family, or what would you say? What would be which one of these characters would be you and your family? If anybody, anybody, it's open to everybody. Definitely.
Definitely.
So you can't keep a secret.
My husband knows. I'm like, I'll tell him first. I tell him first every time. My kids know. Like, don't even tell me because I'm gonna tell Bobby. And I can hear everything. I'm like, I know you didn't brush your teeth because I didn't hear that water running. And they're like, I did. I'm like, yeah, you just put the toothpaste like this. Breathing on me. I can still see your teeth, and you got that yellow stuff all over your teeth. Yes, my mom and my dad are exactly like Pepa and Felix. Because my mom, oh my goodness, she always like the vein popping out the side of her neck, like freaking out about everything. My dad, like life of the party, very much. When I see Isabella, it's just like my 14-year-old. She's so princess and always singing, and literally had a purple dress before the premiere. She literally wore it for the premiere when we went to see it in the movie theater. She looked just like Isabella with the long hair and everything. Yeah.
That's beautiful. These locals, two locals, y'all chime in.
No, I know you also have experience working with reggaeton artists and rap artists, which I was like, it makes so much sense why she could spit out that rhyme like it's nothing. But you know, being on the road as an artist, you know, what have you learned from them to better your performance, and who has been the one that you're like, I'm on the road tomorrow with them?
Pitbull.
Hey, I knew it. Yay. It seems like a good time.
Oh man, he is such a great person. He focused me in a way that I didn't understand his language when he was talking to me about having to just bulldoze your way through it, because I was one of the like, I don't want to offend nobody. Like it was always difficult for me. And yep, that's it. I worked with him quite a few times, been on tour with him. We did quite a few collaborations, but he was always the one that was like, just stick at it, you know. Another one would be Olga Tañón. She told me some things during an award show that just changed my life. She was just like, just keep it, you know, whenever you don't see people reacting to you, you just keep going. I mean, me lo dijo descalza backstage. I was like, I love you. So yeah, there have been quite a few people that I've worked with during the time, but I would have to say Pitbull would be one that if he called me tomorrow, I'd be like, let's do it. When? I don't care where. Mañana, let's go en mi carro, let's do it. Like, let's spit that rap, let's do it.
With that being said, I am about to dive into your music, but I honestly want to shy away from like that side, like, you know, some of the other artists you dealt with, because I know now that, you know, you got baptized on Halloween Day. You know, so I was like, okay, I don't know if she likes, you know, she's like done a revamp of like, you know, the type of music you put out, or, you know, what you want to be associated with. So I was like shying away from like associating you.
All of me. I embrace all of me because
okay, awesome.
We all live different chapters depending on who we are at the moment. You know, I'm not the same person that I was 25 years ago, but will I erase who I was 25 years ago? No, because I wouldn't be the person I am today without going through those experiences and meeting those people who were just pivotal moments in my life. So like I was signed to Universal Latino. And at the time, Walter Com was the vice president, who then ended up being the manager for Carlos Vives. And then full circle, we had done Carpet 10 years before this film. And I have a picture with him and I on the carpet and then doing the film together. And it was like, see, it's family. You keep going around the pond and it's us and it's all the same people. And so we have trust. So working with him and working with all these amazing talents, you see it coming back around. So I'm grateful for everything that I lived during my reggaeton days. And I love doing reggaeton, but I just lyrically have changed about the message that I want to talk. I want to talk about love. I want to talk about relationships. I'm not as like sexual, I would say, as I was at the beginning of my career. That was me then. And now where I am and what I want to say, when I want to express is different. Plus, after I got honestly saved, I feel like I have a second opportunity at life. I wanted to give thanks to God, and that was the first thing I did. Was I released a Christian album, and it was just a grateful album. And then living in Tennessee, and I dove into my Southern roots. So like I added in a little bit of that country flair to the hip hop style that I'm doing. But I still keep some flow within it because I mean, I love to flow. So como no hacerlo, you know, I love to do it. And so I've released That's Where I'm At, which is the latest one, which talks about just being a mom and being like a person in 20 halves. That's where I'm at, you know, and it's crazy and it's chaos, but I love every single moment of it. And people ask me if I'm good. I just look at them and smile. If they only knew that I've got half of me in LA, half just hanging with my family, half of me in this song, and half already gone. So it's just like I got half of me everywhere, but I love it. That's where I'm at, and it's embracing every phase in your life and knowing if I really want to live a full life, I'm not going to be necessarily 100% at everything, but I'm going to do the best to be everywhere I can be. Because for me, now that I look back, I don't want to look back and feel like I missed anything. I want to know I lived everything I could to the best of my abilities. And this was a wild, great ride. And I'm grateful for every single second.
Yes. Awesome. That's beautiful. Anybody want to chime in before I say something?
I got a question. Since we're on music right now, my question for you was, how do you fuse different cultural influences into your music, and what does that process look like for you?
I work a lot with my husband, Gabriel Candiani, and he's such a great producer. We've been working since day one, and he has an incredible pool of musicians that he's like, I know what guitar player I'm going to bring into this, or what bass player. Like what we did with That's Where I'm At. He's like literally whistling into the microphone on that one. You know what I mean? Then we bring in a guitar player, which is our friend for many years, here from Tennessee, and he played the guitar on it. He just has this groove, and then I bring in vocalists from different places. But like when I worked on my Christian album, we had Nigerian singers. Like we brought a choir from Nigeria to join us in this production, and they just brought just the energy. It was massive. It was beautiful. We even had them singing in Spanish. I was like, now you're going to sing in Spanish.
Y'all did 2 different versions.
What? I was like, Dio, what?
I love to hear, you know, that you are working creatively with your husband. Is there ever moments that you're like, okay, we are not on the same page, and how do you handle that?
Oh man, we are never not on the same page. Honestly, I feel sometimes I wanted to make a band with him, and he was just like, he's such a behind the scenes kind of person. And we put out a little thing. It's called Adassa y los Locos, because he brought in some of his crazy friends to do some like really fun Latino stuff we did. And I just wanted to do something with him, but he's such a behind the scenes kind of guy. I love working with him because it's like we read each other's minds, and we don't even have to be in the same room. Like I'll be hearing a beat he's working on, like here's in the studio, but like right out those doors, you go straight into like the kitchen. So I'll be in the kitchen and I'm hearing a beat, and I can just hear like that, just like the and I'll start like writing something, and I'll be like, wait, puppy, I got this idea. It's gonna be great. And then we'll piece it together. But no, even when like if I have an idea for a song and that's not where he's taking it, I always step back and I listen. And then, or he'll step back and he'll listen to me. We always give each other that grace. And I think that that's why we've been together for over 27 years, you know? It's because we know how to listen, how to really coordinate our feelings, and how to give each other the space to be creative, both together and apart. And there's never, ever a moment in which we can't be honest with each other. And I think that if you can truly be honest with somebody, you're truly intimate. Because honesty is the greatest thing in regards to relationships intimacy, is to be honest.
Beautiful.
So there's never
I'm gonna write that down.
where you have shutting the studio down. Like it's not the studio is shut.
Oh, never. Gosh, I love working with him. I think sometimes maybe he goes a little too fast for me. He's like one of those like musical savants kind of thing. And I'm like, wait. I want to write too. That'd be like the only thing. Because once he gets an idea, he just blasts off so fast because he's used to doing like 20, 30 songs a month because he has his own record label. So he has a record label that's distributed through Warner Chappell in Germany. And then he's an A&R for another company here for Warner Chappell in the United States. And worldwide. And so he's used to popping out 20, 30 songs a month. So when we write, he goes so fast. So yeah, sometimes I'm like, the only time that I would have to say, Papi, please, is like, give me 10 minutes. Like first, he'll be like, I'm done. And I'm like, wait, it's supposed to be a collaboration. That's about it. But him and I get along. Now with the kids, oh my God. That's when we both have to be like, okay, you go high, I go low. Let's do it. That's the challenge the Lord gave us. That's the challenge right there. We together we harmonize. With them, they're like that, you know, off bing, bing.
Yeah.
Speaking about being married for over 27 years, shout out to the Latino blood for keeping everybody looking so young with good genes. Does anybody ever like be like, be confused about your age? Like, you know what I mean? Being like, oh, you look like you're 27. Like, how often do you run into that?
Oh, all the time. I'm 44, and
that's
I'm
crazy.
I am 44, about to be 45 years old. I can't believe I don't get to play, you know, like a teen character. You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird. But at the same time, it's like really humbling because I'm like, really? Now, Lord? Now? 15 years ago? Oh, I wasn't right back then. I wasn't ready. Okay. I got you.
Got you. Speaking of people that you've done tours with, features with, I know that you toured with like Juvenile, but also you did a feature with Snoop Dogg, right? So I kind of wanted to ask you a question about some current controversy. Being a girl from Houston, you know, you kind of Southern. Who do you feel like should be at the Super Bowl? Should it be Kendrick Lamar or should it be Lil Wayne?
Oh, that's a hard one. But I would have to lean on Lil Wayne.
Oh,
Lil Wayne now or Lil Wayne then?
Lil Wayne then. Lil
Okay.
Wayne then, I would have to say. But
okay. I'm actually surprised.
Lamar, honestly, he goes hard too. So it's a hard toss. It's a hard toss.
Got you. Yeah, I was wondering where you was going land on that because you should be torn. You know what I'm saying? Like Kendrick Lamar does put a lot of God in his music. You know what I mean? I know. So I'm like, okay, I wonder where she's at with this. But
You know, the thing is, what I really think Kendrick Lamar has left a great impact on what people can do with their music. Because that's the thing about Lil Wayne. I love his flow, and you know what I mean. The longevity of his career and where he stands on just people in general. Like I love the fact that he always has a stance of like, I sing for everybody, and I don't feel discrimination when I'm in my show. Everybody's welcome, and everybody treats me all good. You know, even from what happened when he was younger. You know what I mean? A white cop, saved his life if it wasn't for that. You know, but what I see with Kendrick Lamar, that's what I'm saying. It's a hard toss up because, like, you know what I mean? Because I love what he's doing, putting God into things. And I think it's important for people not to forget there is a root of spirituality that we should all hang on to. I think that if we become our own gods, we're in for a rude awakening because we're not ready for that kind of power and responsibility. And I think that if we only listen to our own ideas, we're going to notice in 10 years, those ideas 10 years ago, they weren't so great, you know. But if you have some kind of direction that is going to lead you to follow peace and find integrity and find, you know, wholeness, that is always better. So I like the fact that he always includes a little bit of that spirituality in his music. So dang it now, I'm back out. Dang it, I'm Kendrick now.
You Kendrick now? You switched?
I switched.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry.
Kendrick.
That's it.
Okay, Kendrick it is. All right. I also want to go into your performances. I mean, you performed at the NASCAR Final Series. Like, can you just tell us? I mean, you even sung the national anthem. Can you tell us about like the biggest arenas that you performed at, or the scariest, or your most exciting? Just tell us about like all the performances you've had that just stick out to mind. It can even go back to you doing your music, all of that. Like,
my goodness, so many. Opening up for Daddy Yankee at the Madison Square Garden, never forget that. That was the beginning of my career, and it was insane. I could only hear, that's what it sounded like, just the screaming, just like, and amazing. Yes, during the NASCAR race, because I had the planes flying through when I was like, singing. That was scary because it was like, it was so loud. Amazing to be in that. And then touring with the Tabernacle Choir during their tour in Mexico, and we did it in Florida as well as in Utah, just being with 360 amazing musicians, all of which are volunteers, mind you, and they are insanely good. Vocalists and players, musicians of just the best caliber and just great people. That was incredible as well. And then performing with the Disney All-Stars at Taipei, Taiwan. That was beautiful to be able to share the stage. Susan Egan and just so many wonderful people. There are so many moments, honestly. And then the Hollywood Bowl, I thought I would never be there. At the end of the performance of our final night, I was just standing on stage and I was crying. And Lin-Manuel came to me and he was like, "Why are you crying?" I was like, I didn't even think I was going to live.
wow.
Like, I didn't think I was going to be alive by the end of this year. And standing on the stage and know we just did that, I just couldn't believe it. I was in awe, and he just like stood with me and we just looked out and he was just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, there's so many moments.
Beautiful.
With the year coming up, what are you most looking forward to? Like, is there a collaboration you would just fall like down for? Where would you like to perform next? I mean, besides, in our living room here for the kids.
Yeah.
No, these two locas.
Book a karaoke show for the child, but where would you really like to see 2025 take you?
Anywhere it wants to take me. I am no longer leading this ship. I am open to whatever the Lord has in store for me. Wherever the wind takes me, that's where I'll be. I feel that my life is a gift, and I am no longer going to plan things. I'm just going to be ready for any opportunity that presents itself in my way. And I think that by just being ready and being open and giving myself that grace, then I'm never sad, because I'm like, oh, this came up. Cool. Let's do that. That sounds fun. Oh, this opportunity came on. Oh, I think I'll try that. So instead of going, I wish that this would happen. Why isn't it happening? I'm no longer trying to hold on to anything. I'm just receiving. I'm with open arms.
Yeah, as they say, stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Every day. Staying ready.
We're going to transition to some of the what it sound like questions, see, where you are with these questions. Hollywood, go ahead, take it away.
All right, so we talking about music. Everybody loves musicals. Encanto is basically a musical. So I had a question. This is, you can only keep one musical.
Oh, gosh. Oh, purple rain, purple rain.
Yes.
The classic.
Hands down, she said. Are you a huge Prince fan?
Oh my gosh, my family and I, we love it.
Yes.
Love Prince.
Let's go, Prince.
I'm telling you, I think he was Dominican. I don't know.
Girl.
I can see it.
Me dice Dominicano. ¿Verdad?
And he always
I don't know. Just when you hear him hit those, you know what I mean?
And he always had the expression like he knew the cheese man. Like he knew.
Oh, he threw
Right.
shade like other.
Mhm.
Plus, I love how he went from where he started, all his talent, amazing, and then giving it to God, afterwards, and yet still remaining an incredible
You
player.
ain't never see it.
He just did. He was able to unite all of it, and then standing up for the rights of a musician and saying, I'm going to take on my career, and those who love me will follow me. And people did. He didn't even have to be on the radio, and he's got full seats every time.
Right.
Love what he did for music.
Okay. We'll transition to another one. Hollywood.
All right, so now one of them gotta
Hamilton.
go. One gotta go.
One's got to go?
Oh,
Yeah, one's got to go. Erase it from history.
No. No. I can't.
You need me to bring it up, or you got it?
You gotta erase one.
I would have
No, it's tough. It's a tough decision.
the Wiz, I guess.
What?
I mean, locas.
You can't win?
Okay,
With
come
Michael
on, put it back on.
Put it back up? Okay. That's crazy.
No. No, Chicago would have to go. I'll keep the Wiz.
Okay.
Chicago.
All right.
I can't do Les Miserables. Come on. I can't get rid of it. That scene when she's like crying, her baby. I know. Okay, I'm sorry, Chicago. Afuera.
I don't want us bully you to change your answers. I mean, I know you went from Lil Wayne
No,
to
it's
Kendrick.
a hard thing, come on, babe, why don't we paint the town and all that jazz. That was one of the first ones I ever sang when I was like in high school. So that's like, it's got a place in my heart. But again, the Wiz, it was like the first time that you see people like us on the screen. So I'm saying it's hard.
Black Dorothy, come on now.
Come on now.
And
I haven't done that again. Like, I want to see that happen.
when I saw
No, I agree.
Chicago,
Yeah, we need a new Wiz. We need an updated one.
when I saw Chicago on stage, I felt like I didn't understand the story as much as I did in the movie. On the stage, and for me, wasn't as clear. I love the music, but I didn't really get some of the context until I saw the movie. So it was like one of the musicals that are like, I was like, and then I saw the movie. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. I follow.
There it is. There it is.
That's a fair question.
Who is not a Prince fan? Exactly.
Right. That's a better question. Yeah. Okay, I got some tapping or capping questions.
All right, we got a minute and 20 seconds left. That's
oh, cool. I'll wrap it up. It's very clear.
My tapping's coming upstairs. Pow, pow, pow.
Tap or cap means agree or disagree. So you can say tap or cap. Would the Mardi Gras beat Big Jack Horner from Puss in Boots 2?
Oh. All right. I would say, tap.
Tap. Okay, good. Okay. I mean, I'm glad you actually, you know what I mean, that you actually thought about it. You wasn't just straight biased. And then I know you heard about another controversial thing.
I watched it. Oh, are you kidding me? My kids and I, we were like, no, the girls went at it so hard. I was like,
that was the real game.
Yeah, she was robbed. She was robbed for real.
I was like, no, they were not, especially with the head, dude. Like, what is up with that?
He was headbutting her all night.
But you know, it was allowed. I was telling my girls, I was like, no, it's like she needed to like put the elbow in to like get that head off. Pero le seguía with the freaking eye, man.
Yeah, we was all upset. That's a global thing. That wasn't even just the Latinas. That was the blacks was like, hey. Call something. But yeah, but that's been, you know, tapping no capping with what it sound like. The two locas, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Please like, follow, subscribe. Yeah, man, I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. We appreciate all the comments. Adassa, thank you so much for tuning in. You are a beautiful light. You are awesome at conventions. You have amazing talent, and I'm so glad for you to receive your flowers. You know, that's well overdue.
Thank you, and it was nice meeting your moms too.
Oh yeah, thank you. Hey, shout out to my mom. She told me to shout her out too.
Mommy.
Bye.
Bye.